now that you have qualified your borrower and you've requested your STIPS, now your job is to collect your STIPS. Don't be surprised if it takes you 5 or 10 or 15 follow-ups or more to get a borrower to send their STIPS in. People are busy. Do not lose your cool. Do not become impatient, because sometimes people are just busy and the last thing they have on their bucket list for a given day is getting their loan officer or their broker their pay stub. They have kids and they have life and they're busy. So be patient, but also be persistent, because step number 5 is collecting your STIPS. And those STIPS are the same STIPS you asked them for in the email when you first got the loan borrower to apply. So once you've gotten your STIPS, then you will order your disclosures and the appraisal. And disclosures are the process of you sending the borrower a DocuSign or written offer for the mortgage. That's when it all takes shape. And if you get the STIPS up front, before you send them their disclosures, you have a borrower that's committed to you and to the process. So step number 6 is disclosures, and once those are back and signed, order the appraisal so you can value the home. Now in some cases, when you're running your automated underwriting decision, there are some loans where you can actually do a loan without an appraisal. It's called a property inspection waiver. And when you read through your underwriting guidelines, it'll tell you if that loan's eligible to have the appraisal waived or not. So step number 6 is you disclose the loan to the borrower, in most cases via DocuSign, and you order your appraisal. Once you have that back, you're halfway home. Now you take your loan file and you submit your loan file to processing with all the borrower STIPS, with the appraisal it was ordered or in, and the signed disclosures. And you submit that file to processing. That's the department that's going to put your loan in front of the underwriter. Once that person who's in processing tells you the loan is good to go, the loan's submitted to underwriting, now you're waiting. You're waiting for the underwriter to finish the underwrite of the loan, and now you have an official loan approval. Congratulations. So step number 7 is submit to processing. Step number 8 is submit to underwriting. And step number 9 is once the loan's approved, you will be requested to get prior to closing conditions. The whole loan game is a whole bunch of collecting paperwork the entire way through. That's why it's critical to build a very good rapport with your borrowers up front, because you're always going to go back to people for more information, because it takes a whole army to close a mortgage loan. But that's natural. And if you have rapport with your clients, it's easier to go back to them to ask them for a missing pay stub or an extra bank statement, because the underwriter will approve your loan in this step and will almost always add more conditions and more requirements of borrowers. So if you tell borrowers, oh, we're ready to go, I have everything that I need, and you come back to them a week later for more stuff, that's when you lose the confidence in the customer. When you tell them up front, look, this is a process, I'm gonna ask you for documents up front, and then as we go, I'll probably ask you for more things, but I'll do the best I can to minimize my asks. People can understand that up front. That's the underwriting process, and once it's approved, that is the requesting PTDs. PTDs stand for prior to doc conditions. And when an underwriter approves your file, they will stip your file for PTDs. I know what you're saying right now. What are my common PTDs? What things should I be expecting on the approval? Well, generally, it could be letters of explanation, because the underwriter saw that on their credit report, your borrower had a different last name than they have now. And they want to know, were they married before? Is there child support or alimony that might pop up? Maybe in the borrower's application, there's a job gap of 1 month, and they want to know, why was the job gap? Maybe the underwriter saw the credit report and saw the borrower had an inquiry from Toyota, and they want to know, did this borrower get a new car? These are general conditions that once the file goes to the underwriter, they will be able to tell you what else is needed. So the more you can really dial in your credit report up front and review the heck out of that thing, and understand the application and the borrower's liabilities up front, like we talked in earlier lessons, the cleaner your approvals will come out, which cleaner approvals lead to faster loan closings, and faster loan closings lead to happier customers. So next, you've gotten all the conditions back to processing to go back to underwriting for a final approval. Now, you're approved to issue your CD. That CD is your closing disclosure that tells the borrower, we're approved for closing, here are your final terms and your final conditions, congratulations, let's have a party. That's a good call, that's a happy call, that's a very friendly call. People are happy about getting the CD. Once they issue the CD to your borrower and they sign it, you can then close 3 days later. So the closing process is the documents being prepared by your closer or by your funder, sending docs over to escrow having a notary contact the borrower to sign. Docs are signed, sent back to the lender, and now the loan goes into closing. And that's when we fund the loan. The closing department collects any money from the borrower that they're due to close the mortgage. Any last minute conditions are usually taken care of by processing, and your file closed. And congrats, you just funded a loan. And I know it seems like it's a long process, but the more that you do this, the easier it becomes and the funner it becomes, because this is just pushing paperwork at a high level and managing expectations and managing relationships and managing emotions. And he or she that can keep their cool through the entire process usually wins. No loan is ever easy per se. They're all work, but making a lot of money should be a lot of work. But it's fun work. It's work you do from your desk, from your office. You're not having to go out there and crack the concrete and dig ditches and build buildings. You're sitting in an office helping people through the process. At the end of the process, they're elated because they got a great deal from you. You helped them through the process. They either had their keys to own their home or they had a great refi and they're saving lots of money. So the closing of a loan can be very enjoyable if you focus on giving borrowers value every step of the way. And that's step 10 of becoming a great loan officer.